Thank you all for your testimony. We'll now move to questioning, and I will begin recognizing myself for 5 minutes of questions. Dr. Dennigan McCauley, workforce. I got 3 questions. I'll give them all to you at one time, but they're pretty simple. What are the educational requirements for an inspector? What is the general range of salary, if you know, for an inspector, overseas foreign inspector? And how many slots are currently unfilled? And again, I recognize you may not have the exact number, but if you can give me rough estimates.
Sure. We do have ongoing work where I can give you exact numbers, but I can give you a ballpark. So I don't have the exact salary information in front of me. I'd be happy to get that to you, but we do know
But
that.
it's more than 25,000.
Yes, and it was on the GS schedule. I believe it was at a 12, and they're now saying that they want to hire inspectors at a higher level.
And what would a 12 for the folks back home? What would a 12 be, roughly?
I honestly don't know.
All right, fair enough.
I'd have to look at it. So they are looking at trying to increase salaries. They're trying to provide incentives.
Because they're not able to recruit people.
Correct.
And how many slots, do you have any idea how many slots are open? Are we talking about 5 or are we talking about 25?
There's 3 different groups of recruiters. There's the base here in America, and they have openings that were there. The last time we reported, I believe, I'm afraid to give the wrong answer, but overseas, it's significant.
Okay.
I mean, only having 1 out of 8 is a significant problem. And in India, they had 1 position that was still available there, but they only had 5 inspectors. So you're talking it's a significant portion when you don't have.
So, Mr. Claude, in your testimony, and several others have mentioned it, talking about the remote or the Zoom inspections. And while I'm not totally against those, I'm all for telemedicine. Here's my concern. Although I applaud these kinds of creative ideas. My concern is you can't see in the Zoom the rats skittering across the floor. And they're not likely to show you the documents in the bin that are being destroyed with acid because you're not likely to say, show us the acid bin or the acid barrel in the back part of the facility. So as I was discussing this before the hearing with a reporter, David Lim of Politico, and he did what reporters do, he just listened. But I was formulating a concept that I've had. It would seem to me that with the amount of money that we have allocated already, that perhaps what we need are preliminary inspectors. And so I'm going to throw this creative idea out here because I'm not here to bash the FDA. I'm here to say we got a problem, let's try to fix it. So I'm going to throw this idea and see what you think of it, and you all can respond. That we have these preliminary inspectors, that what we do is we hire people that don't have that educational level that would be required for a full inspector. We're not going to get into the chemistry. I think one of you mentioned that. But just to see, as I think it was one of you all's reports from 2019 where when they did an inspection of a facility in China, they found feces all over the bathroom walls. I mean, that bathroom hadn't been cleaned in years. It doesn't take a highly educated individual. I mean, maybe you want to have a college degree, a couple of weeks of training. We're looking for cleanliness here, people, to do a preliminary inspection and then give to the other inspectors who were there that know how to look at the chemistry and make sure that the batches are right, the ability to have some insight before they go there, and then to give the FDA the tool. These are the ones in the worst shape from a cleanliness standpoint, which are most likely to have a negative process going on the line too. If they can't even keep the floors in the bathrooms clean, they're more likely to have problems on the line. Mr. Claude, what do you say?
I think that has some promise, and I think that the idea of how we use tele-inspections and digital inspections matters a great deal.
And preliminary inspectors, as I just pointed out. Let me just get a yes or no because I'm running out of time from the other two. Do you all think that's an idea that would work?
Chairman Griffith, I think that, in 2014, I would have said yes. I think the companies have gotten smarter. I think that they've figured out better ways of trying to evade inspections. So if you don't have somebody who's forensically trained to look for fraud, you're not going to be able to find it.
Well, and I'm not even looking for the fraud at this point. I'm just looking for cleanliness to make sure we don't have feces in our medications. Ms. Dennigan McCauley?
So we have asked for them to look at the remote tools that they have to see if maybe they could combine. You could have an inspector there and you could use a remote tool.
All right. I've been advised that the salary is about 120. Mr. Claude, I want to ask you, your experience with New England Compounding Center disaster and the lack of FDA being proactive in that, do you think that we could have a similar type of situation happening with foreign drugs if we don't fix this system? And I want to be a partner. I'm not beating up on the FDA. Do you agree with me that that could be a problem?
Of course, that risk always exists, especially with the kinds of drugs, sterile injectable drugs, that are of the highest risk where there is no functioning immune system in the human body.
Yeah, I appreciate it. My time is up. I yield back.